The massive viewing screen in the Galactic Council's emergency chamber flickered with images that made absolutely no sense to High Commander Stone. His four eyes blinked rapidly as he watched humans, actual humans from Earth, playing with the most dangerous weapon ever created as if it were a child's toy. The metallic sphere of the Stellar Forge floated above a research facility in Nevada, its ancient surface gleaming with patterns of light that should have struck terror into any sensible being's heart. Instead, the humans below were pointing at it and laughing, some even taking pictures with their phones. "They're going to kill us all," muttered First Advisor Green, his scales turning a sickly pale color as they watched. "They don't even know what they're holding." Stone's tentacles curled in distress as he watched a human scientist in a lab coat casually adjust one of the forge's control crystals. The man didn't even wear protective gear. According to the ancient texts, simply touching those crystals without proper spiritual preparation could tear a hole in space-time. "Look at what they're doing now," shrieked another council member as the humans activated the device. Everyone in the chamber held their breath, expecting at least half the solar system to vanish. Instead, the sky above the facility erupted in a spectacular display of artificial auroras, forming shapes that looked suspiciously like Earth animals. Stone could make out what appeared to be a cat chasing a mouse across the stratosphere. They're using it to make pictures in the sky," Green said in disbelief. "A device that could rearrange a star's core, and they're using it to draw cats." The security feed showed more details of the facility below. The humans had surrounded the ancient superweapon with what appeared to be regular scientific equipment. Coffee cups sat on million-year-old control surfaces. Someone had stuck a small paper sign on the forge's base that read "Bob's Light Show Machine," with a smiley face drawn next to it. Stone watched in growing horror as one of the scientists, a young man in a t-shirt with some kind of pop culture reference on it, began explaining to a tour group how they'd improved the forge's efficiency by 30% by bypassing its unnecessary safety protocols. Unnecessary safety protocols. Green's voice rose to a pitch that made the chamber's crystal walls vibrate. Those protocols were designed by the ancients to prevent the device from accidentally converting planets into starlight. The camera zoomed in on a whiteboard where the humans had scribbled their plans for the forge. Among equations that would have made the ancient creators weep were notes like "Try rainbow mode" and "Cool idea, Jupiter light show next month." "We have to do something," Stone declared, pulling himself up to his full height. "The humans clearly don't understand what they found. This device was meant to be handled with the utmost reverence and care, used only in times of the greatest need, after decades of training and spiritual preparation." The feed showed another scientist walking up to the forge with a toolbox, whistling. "Alert the diplomatic corps," Stone ordered. "We need our best negotiators. We need. He trailed off as the humans activated the forge again. This time, the sky above their facility transformed into what appeared to be a perfect recreation of their solar system in miniature, each planet detailed down to its smallest features, hanging there like precious gems in the evening sky. It was beautiful. It was impossible. It had taken the ancients years of preparation to achieve effects half as complex. "How are they doing this?" Green whispered. "They're barely even looking at the control surfaces. That one is eating a sandwich while operating it." Stone felt a cold shiver run through his body. Either the humans were the most reckless species in the galaxy, or they understood something about the forge that the council didn't. He wasn't sure which possibility frightened him more. "Send the diplomatic team," he ordered finally. "But tell them to be careful, and remind them that under no circumstances should they mention what the device was originally designed to do. The last thing we need is to give these humans any ideas about its real purpose." As if to punctuate his words, the human scientists below began to clap and cheer as their artificial solar system performed what appeared to be an impossibly complex dance, the planets weaving between each other in patterns that should have taken years to calculate. One of the younger humans high-fived another and shouted something that the council's translators rendered as, "Dude, This is the best light show machine ever. Stone felt a headache coming on. It was going to be a very long day. The diplomatic ship landed at the Nevada facility with all the ceremony its crew could muster. Ambassador White had insisted on wearing the formal robes of the Galactic Council, complete with the ancient symbols of peace and wisdom. The other 5 members of the delegation followed suit, their ceremonial garments glittering in the morning sun. They weren't prepared for Dr. Tom Baker to greet them in cargo shorts and a faded t-shirt that read, "Physics makes me happy." "Oh hey, you must be the aliens everyone's been talking about," Tom said, grinning as he walked up to them while drinking from a large coffee mug. "Want to see something cool?" Before Ambassador White could begin his carefully prepared speech about galactic harmony and sacred responsibilities, Tom had already turned and started walking back to the facility. The aliens hurried after him, their robes catching on the desert scrub. "So we figured out that if you twist this bit here," Tom said, reaching up to casually adjust one of the Stellar Forge's floating control crystals, "and then kind of tickle this part." He poked another crystal that the aliens recognized as a quantum stability matrix. Several of them covered their eyes, expecting instant destruction. Instead, the forge hummed pleasantly and projected a perfect hologram of the Milky Way galaxy above their heads. Tom took another sip of his coffee, looking pleased. "Pretty neat, right? We're still working out all the settings. Yesterday we accidentally made it play what we think was some kind of ancient alien soap opera. The interns were watching it all afternoon. Anyone want coffee?" Ambassador White's translator took several seconds to process this casual reference to accessing the Forge's sacred memory banks. "Dr. Baker," he said finally, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure, "we have come on a matter of grave importance regarding this device." "Oh, you mean Bob?" Tom patted the Forge's outer casing. "That's what we call it. Bob the light show machine. Though honestly, it's way more than that. Watch this." Before anyone could stop him, Tom pulled out his phone and pressed a few buttons. The Forge's crystals rearranged themselves, and suddenly music started playing from somewhere within the ancient device. The holographic galaxy above them began pulsing in time with the beat. "We got it to sync with Spotify," Tom explained proudly. "Had to rebuild half the quantum interface, but now it's got great bass response. The acoustic engineers are super excited." One of the younger diplomats fainted. Ambassador White felt his own consciousness wavering as he watched humanity's most renowned physicist use a galaxy-destroying superweapon as a sound system. "Dr. Baker," he tried again, "this device is an artifact of immense power and sacred significance. It requires proper protocols, careful handling, and—" "Oh, you mean all those warning labels inside?" Tom interrupted cheerfully. "Yeah, we cleaned those up. Lots of redundant systems, really overcomplicated everything. Did you know it had 17 different safety interlocks just to adjust the harmonic resonance? Talk about overkill. We streamlined it quite a bit." The diplomatic team huddled together in horror as Tom led them into the facility's main lab. Dozens of scientists were working at various stations, many with their feet up on consoles that could trigger solar flares. Someone had taped a birthday calendar to the side of an antimatter containment unit. "And here's where we do the really fun stuff," Tom said, pointing to a corner where several young researchers were gathered around a terminal. "We're teaching it to play chess. It's pretty good, but Janet in accounting still beats it regularly." Ambassador White struggled to find words as he watched one of the researchers casually juggle 3 of the Forge's control crystals while reading data off a screen. Each of those crystals could, if mishandled, turn a planet inside out. "Dr. Baker," he managed finally, "we really must insist on implementing proper safety measures and protocols." "Oh sure, safety first," Tom agreed brightly. "That's why we installed cup holders. You wouldn't believe how many coffee spills we had before that. Want to see our latest project? We're trying to teach it to make pizza. The quantum fields do something amazing to the cheese." As Tom walked away, already talking about his plans to use the Forge for a staff Christmas party light show, Ambassador White turned to his remaining conscious team members and whispered weakly, "We're going to need backup. A lot of backup." Above them, the holographic galaxy continued to pulse in time with what Tom's phone identified as greatest dance hits of the 2020s. The emergency meeting room of the Nevada facility was not what the alien delegation had expected. There were motivational cat posters on the walls, a half-eaten box of donuts on the conference table, and Dr. Alex Reed was currently using one of the Stellar Forge's control crystals as a back scratcher. "So," Tom said, writing on a whiteboard with a squeaky marker, "who wants to see our improvements?" Behind him, he had drawn a smiley face next to a list labeled "Cool Stuff We Did to Bob." Ambassador White's diplomatic training hadn't covered how to respond when humans treated ancient artifacts like hobby projects. "Improvements?" he asked weakly. "Oh yeah, loads of them." Tom clicked a button on his presentation remote. The Stellar Forge hummed to life, its crystals spinning in what the aliens recognized as a completely impossible configuration. "First up, check this out." A stream of perfectly brewed coffee poured from nowhere into Tom's waiting mug. "We figured out the Forge can manipulate matter at the quantum level, right? So why waste that on boring stuff when you could have instant perfect coffee?" One of the alien diplomats started hyperventilating. The device that could rearrange solar systems was being used as a coffee maker. "But wait, there's more." Alex called out, finally putting down the control crystal. "Show them disco mode, Tom." Tom grinned and pressed another button. The Forge's ancient symbols began pulsing with multicolored light, and a funky beat filled the room. The holographic display above them showed stars and planets dancing in perfect synchronization. "We found this weird resonance pattern in the quantum matrix," Tom explained, bobbing his head to the beat. "Turns out if you tweak it just right, you get an awesome light show. We're thinking of renting it out for parties. Watch this part," Alex added excitedly. She reached up and casually juggled 3 more control crystals, each one capable of triggering the supernova. The crystals sparkled as they spun through the air, creating tiny auroras in their wake. "We found out they do this cool trail effect if you move them fast enough." Ambassador White felt his translator struggling to process the concept of juggling apocalypse-level technology. "Please," he whispered, "those are incredibly delicate." "Oh no, they're super sturdy," Alex interrupted, still juggling. "We dropped one last week, and it just bounced, though it did turn the breakroom carpet into a small quantum singularity for a few minutes. That was pretty funny." Tom walked over to a large fish tank in the corner of the room. Inside, several goldfish were swimming in what appeared to be spheres of water floating in midair. "This is my favorite upgrade," he said proudly. "We used the Forge's gravity manipulation to create zero-G bubbles for the office pets. The fish seemed to love it." The alien delegation watched in horror as one of the fish did a perfect loop-de-loop in its floating water sphere. According to their records, achieving such precise gravitational control had taken the ancient centuries of meditation and practice. "But the best part," Tom continued, walking back to the Forge, "is what we discovered about the quantum harmonics. Watch this." He pressed a few symbols on the Forge's surface in what appeared to be a completely random pattern. The air in the room shimmered, and suddenly they were all standing in what looked like the center of a star. Ambassador White nearly fainted, but then realized they weren't actually in danger. It was a perfect holographic simulation, showing the nuclear processes happening in real time. "Pretty cool, right?" Tom grinned, reaching out to point at a particular fusion reaction. "We use it for teaching the interns, though sometimes we just put on nature documentaries. Movie nights are amazing when you can sit inside the screen." A young researcher poked her head into the room. "Hey Tom, is it okay if we use the Forge to heat up lunch?" The microwave's broken again. "Sure, just remember to use setting 3. Setting 4 made that burrito achieve nuclear fusion last time." As the researcher left, Ambassador White turned to his team and spoke in their native language, which humans couldn't understand. "Contact the Council immediately. The situation is worse than we thought." They're not just playing with it. They're improving it. And they think it's fun. Above them, the holographic star continued to burn, while in the corner, the goldfish continued their zero-gravity valet. And somewhere in the facility, someone was using a super weapon to heat up their lunch. News of the humans' modifications to the stellar forge spread through the galaxy faster than a quantum wave. The Galactic Council's emergency broadcast system lit up with panicked messages from 100 different species. On the main display screen, High Commander Stone watched the chaos unfold while taking medication for his growing headache. They've connected it to something called Netflix, one alien reporter shrieked, their tentacles waving in distress. They're using a Class 10 reality manipulation device to improve their entertainment streaming quality. Another screen showed the humans' latest upgrade to the Forge. They had somehow figured out how to use its quantum field generators to boost their Wi-Fi signal. The fact that they had done this without accidentally creating a tear in space-time was both impressive and terrifying. The humans must be stopped, declared the representative from the Rigel system, their crystalline form flickering with anxiety. What if they accidentally trigger a cascade reaction while trying to make their TikTok videos load faster? Stone watched as yet another feed showed Dr. Tom Baker demonstrating what he called the popcorn setting. The Forge, a device that could rearrange planetary cores, was being used to make perfect movie snacks. Even worse, it worked brilliantly. Our analysts have discovered something even more disturbing. First Advisor Green reported, pulling up a new holographic display. The humans have created a social media page for the device. They're calling it Bob the Wonder Machine and posting daily updates about their experiments. The latest post showed the research team using the Forge to create what they called a quantum mini golf course in the facility's break room. Each hole apparently existed in a different dimension, with the final hole reportedly leading to somewhere fun. The post had millions of likes. Look at this one, Green continued, his scales turning pale again. They used its matter manipulation capabilities to fix their office printer. The printer. Do they not understand that they nearly risked a localized collapse of reality just to print some spreadsheets? The humans had also started a streaming channel where they demonstrated their cool discoveries about the Forge. Their latest video, titled Making Rainbow Space Clouds, had more views than there were sentient beings in the known galaxy. Meanwhile, in the Nevada facility, Tom and his team remained blissfully unaware of the galactic panic they were causing. They had just discovered that the Forge could be used to create zero-calorie pizza that tasted better than the real thing. The quantum restructuring of matter is amazing, Tom explained to a tour group of wide-eyed physics students. We're thinking of solving world hunger next week, right after we finish setting up the interdimensional water slide for the office party. Back in the council chamber, reports continued to pour in. 3 major civilizations had begun building bunkers. The Centauri Federation had moved their entire planet into a different orbit, just to be safe. The ancient and mysterious void monks had emerged from their 1,000-year meditation to ask, simply, what the heck? There's more, Green said, pulling up another report. They've started selling merchandise. Look at this. The screen showed t-shirts reading Bob's Quantum Fun Zone and coffee mugs that supposedly used a tiny bit of quantum uncertainty to keep drinks at the perfect temperature forever. Stone watched as a new video began playing on the Human Research Facility's security feed. The team had apparently discovered that the Forge could create small, controlled auroras inside the building. They were using them as mood lighting for their afternoon yoga session. Should we? One of the junior council members suggested hesitantly. Should we tell them what the device was actually designed for? Absolutely not. Stone, Green, and half the council shouted at once. Besides, Stone added, rubbing his temples, at this point, I'm not sure they'd care. They'd probably just try to use its planet-destroying capabilities to make better birthday party fireworks. As if to prove his point, another alert came in. The The humans had just posted a new video, using ancient alien tech to make the best cup of hot chocolate easier. Warning: may cause time dilation. The view counter was already breaking galactic records. Dr. Blue sat in the corner of the Nevada facility's break room, watching the humans work with growing fascination. As the youngest synanthropologist ever sent by the Galactic Council, she was supposed to be documenting the humans' dangerous misuse of the Stellar Forge. Instead, she found herself reaching a very different conclusion. Tom walked past her desk, casually tossing a control crystal from hand to hand while reading something on his tablet. According to every sacred text, this should have caused a catastrophic quantum cascade. Instead, the crystal hummed happily, leaving a trail of tiny sparkles in the air. "Want to see something amazing?" Tom asked, noticing her interest. He led her to what the humans called Bob's Testing Corner, where Alex was working on their latest project. "Watch this," Alex said, typing commands into a regular Earth computer that they had somehow connected to the ancient device. The forge's crystals spun in a new pattern, and suddenly a perfect miniature galaxy appeared in the air above them. But this wasn't just a model. Blue could see that they were actually looking at a real galaxy, millions of light years away. "We figured out it's not just a fancy light show machine," Tom explained, still playing with the crystal. "It's like a window into the universe. Also a pretty good cappuccino maker, but that's just a bonus feature." Blue's analytical mind raced. The humans had done in weeks what took other species centuries to understand. Not because they were smarter, she realized, but because they weren't afraid to try. "A catch," Alex called out, tossing another crystal to Tom. Blue expected to faint from terror, but then she saw something extraordinary. The crystals weren't just being thrown around, they were moving in perfect harmonic patterns, creating a complex quantum dance that even the ancients hadn't imagined possible. "The secret is not overthinking it," Tom said, noticing Blue's expression. "Everyone else treats these things like they're super fragile, but they're actually pretty robust. We dropped one down 3 flights of stairs last week. Created a temporary time loop in the stairwell, but no big deal. The crystal was fine." In the background, several interns were using the forge's matter manipulation capabilities to create the perfect pizza. One of them had discovered that by adjusting the quantum resonance, they could make toppings that existed in multiple flavor states simultaneously. "Your species," Blue said carefully, "doesn't seem very concerned about safety protocols." "Oh, we're safe," Alex replied, while juggling 3 more crystals. "We just have a different approach. Instead of assuming everything will go wrong, we figure out how things actually work. Did you know these crystals love classic rock? Watch this." She pressed a button on her phone, and the crystals began pulsing in time with the music. The mini-galaxy above them started dancing too, its spiral arms swaying to the beat. Blue pulled out her research tablet and began taking notes frantically. The humans weren't being reckless. They were achieving impossible things precisely because they weren't paralyzed by fear of what might go wrong. "Also," Tom added, "we found out that if you ask nicely, the Forge actually helps you figure stuff out. Everyone's been treating it like some scary weapon, but it's more like a really advanced friend who's excited to show you cool things." As if to prove his point, the Forge hummed happily and created a small display of quantum fireworks above their heads. One of the interns cheered and took a selfie with it. Blue looked at her notes, then at the humans casually revolutionizing physics while eating quantum pizza, and made a decision. She needed to tell the council something they wouldn't want to hear. The humans weren't going to destroy the galaxy. They were going to change it forever, one impossible innovation at a time. In the corner, the office fish continued their zero-gravity dance in their quantum bubbles, while somewhere in the facility, someone was using an ancient superweapon to make the perfect cup of tea. And somehow, Blue realized this was exactly how it should be. She took out her communicator to contact the council, then paused. First, she decided she wanted to try some of that quantum pizza. After all, Understanding humans meant doing things the human way, with curiosity, creativity, and absolutely no fear of the impossible. The ancient archives room deep beneath the Galactic Council headquarters had never seen so much activity. Dr. Blue had spent 3 days straight digging through dusty records, and what she found changed everything. Now she stood before the council, trying not to smile as she watched their faces change from confusion to disbelief. "You mean to tell us," High Commander Stone said slowly, "that the Stellar Forge was never meant to be a weapon at all?" "Look at these original diagrams," Blue replied, projecting a series of images into the air. "The symbols we thought were warnings were actually instructions, but not for warfare, for creation. The humans didn't break the protocols. They're the first ones to actually use the forge correctly in 10,000 years." The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. On one of the monitors, they could see Tom and his team at the Nevada facility, currently using the forge to create what they called a quantum light show for a local children's science fair. "See this symbol here?" Blue pointed to a marking they had all thought meant danger. "It actually translates to play. And this one we thought meant apocalyptic power. It means imagine. We've been reading it backwards all along." She pulled up more ancient texts. The ancients didn't build the forge to destroy stars. They built it to create art, to explore the universe, to make new things possible. It was basically their version of the ultimate creativity tool. On another screen, Alex could be seen teaching a group of kindergartners how to use the forged quantum fields to make their crayon drawings come alive in midair. The children were laughing as their doodles danced around the room. But the safety protocols. First Advisor Green protested weakly. "All those protective measures we thought were necessary were actually just suggestions for beginners." Blue finished. "Like training wheels. The humans skipped them because they intuitively understood what the device was for. They treated it like a toy because that's exactly what it was meant to be, the universe's most advanced playground." She showed them more footage from the facility. The humans had discovered that the forge could create small pocket universes, perfect for testing new ideas without risk. They were using them for everything from scientific experiments to testing new ice cream flavors. The ancients would have loved this, Blue continued, showing clips of the research team's latest projects. They built the forge to bring joy and discovery to the galaxy. Instead, we got so scared of its power that we locked it away and forgot its real purpose. Stone watched as Tom used the forge to help a young scientist test a new theory about quantum mechanics. The device happily created a perfect experimental environment, complete with a tiny universe to test it in. The results were already revolutionizing their understanding of physics. "But what about all the warnings about improper use?" another council member asked. "Those weren't warnings," Blue explained, pulling up more translations. "They were more like tech support notes. If it starts humming in B-flat, try asking it nicely to stop. Don't forget to let it rest after creating new galaxies. For best results, approach with joy and curiosity." The council chamber fell silent as centuries of misunderstanding became clear. They had been so afraid of the forge's power that they had completely missed its purpose. "There's more," Blue added, playing one last recording. It showed the forge's crystals responding to human laughter, creating beautiful patterns in the air. The device isn't just tolerating their experiments, it's enjoying them. The ancients designed it to learn and grow with its users. The humans aren't just playing with it, they're helping it fulfill its original purpose. Stone looked at the latest feed from Nevada. The research team had just discovered that the forge could create temporary time loops. Instead of panicking, they were using them to give everyone in the facility longer lunch breaks. "So," Stone said finally, "you're telling us that the humans got it right by accident." Blue finished. "By treating it like a toy, they understood it better than anyone has in thousands of years. The ancients didn't create a superweapon. They created something much more powerful. They created a way to make the impossible possible. And the humans, with their complete lack of fear and endless creativity, are the perfect people to help it reach its full potential. Above them, the quantum fireworks continued to dance, celebrating a truth that had been waiting 10,000 years to be rediscovered. 6 months after the revelation about the Stellar Forge's true purpose, the Nevada facility had become the strangest school in the galaxy. Aliens from 100 different worlds crowded the halls, trying to learn what the humans called the art of playing with impossible things. Tom stood at the front of the main laboratory, watching an excited group of alien scientists attempt to create their first quantum pizza. Most of them still wore protective gear, but at least they had stopped fainting whenever someone juggled the control crystals. "The trick is to not overthink it," he explained, casually tossing a crystal from hand to hand. "Bob likes it when you have fun. Watch this." He spun the crystal on his finger like a basketball, creating a spiral of miniature galaxies that danced through the air. A young alien scientist from the Rigel system finally worked up the courage to catch a crystal when Alex tossed it to her. Instead of causing the dreaded quantum cascade everyone had once feared, the crystal hummed happily and created a small light show just for her. "See, Bob's friendly," Alex said, giving the forge an affectionate pat. "All those years of treating it like a dangerous weapon just made it lonely. It's basically a universal creation engine that runs on imagination and joy." The facility had grown significantly. The original break room now contained 3 different pocket universes, one specifically for better coffee, and the quantum mini golf course had become a favorite teaching tool for explaining multidimensional physics. Dr. Blue, now the head of the new Galactic Creative Sciences Division, walked through the lobby where several former council members were taking their first How to Play with Reality class. They were learning to use the forge to create simple light patterns, though one of them had accidentally made a tiny rainbow nebula and was quite proud of it. "The ancients would be so happy," she told Tom as they watched the classes. "Their greatest creation is finally being used the way they intended, to bring wonder and innovation to the galaxy." In one corner, a group of alien children on a field trip were using the forge to bring their artwork to life, their tentacles and appendages waving with excitement as their crayon drawings danced through the air. The forge seemed to especially enjoy this, adding little sparkles and happy quantum effects to their creations. Even High Commander Stone had come around. He still jumped a little when someone used the forge to heat up their lunch, but he had successfully created his first quantum bubble tea the day before. The time loop it accidentally caused only lasted a few minutes, and everyone agreed it was the best tea they'd ever tasted. "Next week's advanced class is going to be fun," Tom said, reviewing his lesson plans. "We're going to teach them how to create stable micro-universes for experimental cuisine." The quantum pizza was just the beginning. The facility's social media following had grown to include most of known space. Their latest video, teaching aliens to make zero-gravity ice cream, Johanninquantum, multiple dimensions involved, had broken all previous records. The comment section was filled with beings from across the galaxy asking when they could enroll in classes. "You know what the best part is?" Alex said, while demonstrating how to use quantum fields to create the perfect cup of hot chocolate to a group of amazed alien diplomats. "We're discovering new things every day. Turns out the forge has been waiting all this time for people who weren't afraid to try the impossible." Even the ancient and mysterious void monks had started attending classes, though they still had trouble with the concept of coffee breaks. One of them had become quite good at using the forge to create meditation spaces that existed in all dimensions simultaneously. As the day's classes wound down, Tom gathered everyone in the main hall for what had become a facility tradition, the evening light show. Humans and aliens together used the forge to create a spectacular display of quantum art, filling the sky with impossible colors and dancing galaxies. "Remember," Tom told his students as they watched their creation light up the evening sky, "the only real rule is to approach everything with curiosity and joy. The universe is full of wonderful things waiting to be discovered, and sometimes all they need is someone brave enough to play with them. Above the facility, the stars twinkled in agreement, while somewhere in the break room, another group of scientists discovered yet another impossible thing that made them laugh with delight. The stellar forge hummed happily, finally fulfilling its ancient purpose, bringing magic and wonder to the galaxy, one quantum pizza at a time.